like what web development actually is and the features and other things about web development instead of building any site. Yes, in next session, which will be done tomorrow, I if things go well, where we will be building sites, and in this today's session we will be learning about what web development is. So let's start getting started with web development. So here, first of all, let me discuss what topics we will be covering in this today's session. So it will be stages of building website, how does web actually work, and tool frameworks and stacks, what you have to use or what you have to not, and in which conditions you have to use what. And in the end, static versus dynamic sites, or in other words, you can say that it's websites versus web applications. So this is all about to be covered in this today's session. So let's start. Hope I am not fast as like I am clear to all. Just a response from your side.
Yes, Harsh, you are here.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, we will discuss about stages of website development. So they are basically concept like thinking. I think there is a glitch over their text, but this is written concept and thinking, where like we will discuss these topics detailed in few again minutes. First of all, first is concept thinking. Second one is development. Third one is testing. Fourth is deployment, and fifth is maintenance. You will see there are five I have listed, and you will see like different kind of, some sites will state there are seven stages of a web development. There are four stages of web development, and there are a lot ways to thought about it. But basically, these are the five things we actually do in a web development of any website. Like so, most of the things are actually brainstorming sessions which we have concluded in a single, which is concept and thinking. So if I think about concept and thinking, this is the most important and the most important thing of any designing, where we will think actually what is this website for, why we are creating this website, what are the users, and who will use this website, and what are the user base, and actually all the things we will discuss in this time. And how many users we will get on sites, traffic, the server we will use, the frameworks we are going to use on our site to make this a specific thing, and anything we want to do, what are the looks of our site, like UI and UX designing will also be a part of this, and everything of our site will be in this session. And afterwards we will have development for area, where we actually build our site. uh, it depends what stack you have chosen or anything. When we have, suppose like we have chosen a month stack, then we have been building our whole site in a month stack, and this is the development period where we actually build our site, and afterwards we test it. Like you may have like uh, heard about testing of sites. Okay, so no worry. So may you have heard about testing of sites. So which are like we actually test our sites. This can be done manually by any person. Like we test the sites on various different browsers on various different screen sizes to test whether it is perfect or not. If it is perfect, it is directly proceed to the development to say to production. Or if it has any changes, it go back to the development area, and changes are still done and the changes fixed, it back to the testing environment. And if any found, like if any bug or anything found, then it go back to the development area and then proceeded to the production area. So this is actually done. This can be done manually by some person. Like as I am a person, I will be testing it on various screen sizes on various browsers. Like many as many browser as good as this website will work, because testing is one of the major important section. Because if it is working on Chrome perfectly, there is no surety it will perfectly work on Firefox. So as much as you can test it on various browsers, it will be perfect for you. So this is right? And then we go to the deployment section where we actually deploy the site. It can be deployed using any tool. If it's just the user base is slow, you can deploy them on shared website or anything. Like if I am having a website which is having just a user base of 20 to 30 users a day, then definitely I'm not gonna pay too much for this website. So I will deploy it on any shared hosting if I want, or if I am having a user base of 20,000 to 30,000 a month, then definitely I will think about to deploy it on a good place so that my site will not crash. And all other things like various attacks they can be performed. So to prevent this, all these things will be done on our web servers, and this thing will be done in deployment section. And after proceeding ahead, the maintenance section, like if our site is deployed, we actually maintain the site, because there can be any chance there is a probability that anything we have used cdn or anything that expires, so we actually have to maintain the site so everything will proceed good. So this was actually about how the stages of web development. It was basically a simple thing, like we think about it, we build, we test, we deploy, and we maintain. And afterward, actually how does web work, means how a website will work. If I say simply, it is just a client sends request to the server, server send a response to the client, where like you are, if you are using a phone or a laptop, your phone or laptop will be your client, and the server will be the place where you have hosted your site. So suppose I am here using my laptop. So if I open some site, I would like to hear a website name from anyone from audience to tell. So we'll take example from this. Hope am I clearly audible to you all? Okay, so let's suppose it is. Anyone wants to say any website name? We'll take this as an example throughout our site, throughout this session. Sorry. Okay, no worries. Okay, so let's suppose we have like Amazon.com as a sample website. So when we click on Amazon.com in our website, and as I have searched Amazon.com, as I click on Google or like any browser, uh, the client sends a request to the server. First of all, the site will check where the Amazon.com is, what is the DNS of Amazon.com. Then it will change the address to DNS. Like if Amazon has an IP, it can be like, you have heard about the IPs of a servers, then Amazon.com will be redirecting it to IP that can be of a by a, like can be numbers of a 1 2 3 dot some numbers, and it can be anything depending on where we have did that thing, because that every domain name is actually a IP address. Like if I search about Amazon.com, it will be having a domain name server, and then domain name server will be redirecting it to, like targeting it to any IP address. And if I have searched Amazon.com, then my request will not go anywhere, just directly go to the that IP address. Then on that IP address, there will be a virtual machine or anything. That virtual machine will be having all the files and sites requirements, which will be serving content according to my need. Suppose if I have a search for a product, or there is some backend on the server. This server, I hope this server is visible to all. This server will be having all code which the developer of Amazon have stored in it, and this server will decide what we have to present or what we have to share as a response to the client. Like if I have directly clicked on Amazon.com, means the home page or the root direct, like slash root, then server will decide what he have to serve to the client, and then server will share some response that can be of any form. If we talk about the normal, there is a HTML version, like or that can be a JSON file. that can be a XML, or that can be anything that depends on the server. So it basically a HTML file. So browser serves some things in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then the client, means our browser, receive it and display it according to them. So as you have may seen that some sites look different in Chrome and some sites looks different in Firefox. This is because like they serve some things differently, and Firefox serves some things differently. That is because of it. So if I proceed further ahead, what we have to think about is some things like DNS. As we have thought about that, DNS is nothing but domain name server. Like if we have some in future, if we have a site like gdscuitrgpv.com, then this site will be redirecting to a IP, or we can say that this will be targeting to an IP. That IP will be nothing but the IP address of the virtual machine, which will be holding everything for that website. And that IP, like that virtual machine, is containing some files, or we can say that can be anything we have stored. That can be a normal HTML file, that can be a Python file, that can be anything which we have stored there, and then that will respond according to them, and we will receive something as a response. And if I talk about web servers is nothing but like you may have heard about Apache or Nginx. If anyone has heard about it anyway. I can see that there is some blinking on some users, but I can't hear anything. Hope I am audible to you all.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's proceed. If I talk about client-side routing, um, you have seen that various sites. Let's skip and first discuss about server-side routing. You may have seen some sites like that domain name .com or .anything slash something. Then that request actually for that domain name will go to the server, and server will respond according to that request. Like if I have some like xyz.net slash about, then the request will go to that specific server, and site will respond according to that. But that is a basic simple case which actually happening from past around 30 years. But the game has changed when client side routing came. As React, you may have heard about React, Angular, and Vue. Okay, so these are nothing but just a JavaScript frameworks used to design web apps, or SPA, single page application, which actually uses client side routing, where we happen is when we use any like redirect anything, like if we have some site.net or anything slash something, it will redirect its path to the root path. Like if we have some long path in the URL, it will redirect it whole path into the main index.html file. uh, uh, like if we have some Amazon, YouTube, let's take YouTube as example. You may have seen that YouTube didn't take any like didn't refresh when you change any page. This is because of client side routing, because there was no actual routing happened. It's just JavaScript things which actually change the below content and transform it into new. Okay, this is for it. If I talk about the tools, frameworks, and tech stacks which you need for web development, so there are a few things you actually have to think about. These are IDEs slash editors, like which IDE you are using. So there can be anything. Like there are a lot of IDEs slash editors in the market you can use, but I preferably use VS Code because it is one of the most valuable or the best IDE present in the market. And there are a lot of options like Sublime Text Editor, Atom Editor, and some people still uses Notepad plus, and there can be anything. But why I am talking about this, because why IDE IDE ID plays a main role in the web development, because what ID I am using and what I'm habitate to that specific ID is one of the main reason why I am producing that specific stuff. Like if I am comfortable in VS Code, or VS Code has such features for specific things, then it will be very easy for me to do such specific tasks. Like the if there is something to do in Sublime Text Editor, there is nothing for Sublime Text Editor to directly transpile SAS files. But in VS Code, there is a directly compiler or a transpiler for SAS files. So it will make something easy for me to not download npm and do such things, but it will directly change my SAS files into CSS files. So here ID helps me to do my work. Since a lot way, ID helps you to make your work easy. And if I talk about frameworks of front end, you may have heard about the JavaScript frameworks such as Angular, React, Vue, which are front end frameworks which deal with your front end stuffs. And like what you have seen is actually front end thing. So they deal with your front end, and they all focuses on SPM, in single page applications, where your page actually doesn't reload and the user experience will be one of the best experience. And if I talk about backend frameworks, you may have heard about the Django, Flask, Spring Boot, Laravel, Code Igniter. These are one out of the most famous backend frameworks which most of the companies uses. Like Django is one of the most uh, used framework, and there is something like we use some front end framework and some backend framework and combine that with some technology, and that's how we create a tech stack. So you may have heard about the MERN stack, mean stack, Maven stack. Like if I talk about MERN stack stands for MERN, MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. So these are the technologies behind the MERN stack. And similarly, there are a lot of tech stacks like LAMP. LAMP stands for Linux, Apache, and MySQL, and the P can stand for both Python and PHP. So here your text will also matter in your website, because like if I am creating a chat website, then MERN can be a good option for me. And if I am creating a CMS, then LAMP can be a better option for me, because like the asynchronous feature in the JavaScript will help me there. So MERN can be good. And if I create something related to CMS, the database which are like relational database, that can be a better option for me. So these are some things. And in the end, websites versus web application, or you can say that web static apps versus dynamic apps. So these are nothing like if I have created some website for something, like there is a restaurant or a gym. If I have created a gym website just to display their products and their services, and there is a specific contact form for to contacting them, then this will be a website. But I have created a website which will be used to create something like there can be some if I give my data to the website, this will produce me a sort of analysis of what I have to actually what push-ups I have to do, what will be the exercises for me, and what kind of stuffs I need to eat, and everything about me. And this will be a perfect web app. Uh, for example, we can say that WhatsApp web is a web application. You can see that Microsoft Teams you are having is a web application. Like you are doing something and getting responses according to your response. So this is all web applications are based for. You actually like treat them as an application and do some task on them. So this is all for today. This was a pretty short session, and in like tomorrow's session we will be discussing about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for tomorrow's session we will be having a session on HTML. So hope you have liked it, and you have any question, query, doubt, then all are welcome.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Hello,
Hello.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
No, online calculators are also an example of web applications.
Sorry, could you please repeat?
So, online calculators
Yeah,
are also
it
an
will be an
example of web
example of web application, because you can do something on that specific site, so it will be stated as a web application.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I actually didn't get you, Abhishek Malvia, because you have stated every time we search for a new product, the server also search for the new DNS. No, this like actually didn't happen. If I search for a new product, definitely most of the sites will have some product key for their specific products. Or like if I have searched something, then this will go for a search page where we have listed all the products. Then it will go for the database or check for their products in their database. Like if I have searched for keyboard on any websites, let's suppose it's Amazon, then it will take a look at it, all products, and check whether it is a keyboard or a not. If it is keyboard, then it will return true. If it will show that product on its display page, and this is how it all works. There will be no change in DNS. It will be stored in their databases. If I was not wrong, like if I didn't get you, like if you can elaborate your question, we can proceed. Okay. So if anyone has any doubt or query or anything you can want to discuss about, or if anything related to any project in GDSC, this Hacktoberfest, so we can discuss about that also.
Harsh, there is a question in chat box.
Okay, sir. Okay, can you tell us different new projects on web development? Yeah, there can be a lot. Just wanted to know on what project you have already worked on, like the basic one, or the which can be of an ultimate level. Like which one are you talking about? Or just you can tell like what projects you have already done. The one which will be like one of the best options can be a management portal of anything, which will cover all the things like you have from front end to back end to displaying objects to iterating objects and everything, which is like one of the best project to master each and everything. And yeah, you can unmute yourself too. And along from that, a blog website can be a good option to just nourish your skills. Okay, so if you are new beginners, there can be, if you haven't do such one of the most famous projects like to do app, a quiz app, a calculator, basic JavaScript calculator, and if you want to go in the backend, you can like create a search page which creates a result page from your database, and these can be one of the few projects. If you like, just I wanted to know, have you started backend or not yet? Because there will be a different choice with backend, and there will be a different choice without backend. Okay, so like I have to learn now. No worries if you are familiar with just HTML, CSS, and JS. You can go with some one of the most famous projects like To Do app, a quiz app, a music player. It will nourish your one of the JavaScript uh, skills. Was if you can control everything like with JavaScript. I can state some projects here, like To Do app, quiz app, calculator, music player, and some other options can be a meme creating sites. Meme creation site is basically means you need to actually, and in the last, snake and ladder game. So if you do such small projects, which will take around half an hour to 1 hour to create a simple one, or max to max of 1 day for a single project, then you will get a strong grip on web development throughout these projects. Like I forgot I am speaking. I just started typing just because I am getting response in text. Okay, there will be a feedback form. You can state anything there, and we'll be building that project in tomorrow's session. Like if you have chosen to-do app, we'll be building a to-do app there. So it's all up to you what you want. We'll be doing that. If you have chosen something like snake and ladder game, this can be a 3 or 4 hour long session. So it will take around 2 days to complete. So it's all up to you what you want. And definitely we'll be having it as a not a one-way communication channel. We'll be having some alag, some like volunteers from you to guide us through this session. Like we'll be directly contacting them or discussing them through this session, like what we should do next or what steps do we take. So it will be more interactive. Like the session was not that good because it is all one-way communication, and since we will be building stuff, and we'll make it a two-way communication or a group communication.
Okay, so I guess there are no more queries. So we are wrapping up the session, and we will share the feedback form in our Discord channel, and you will fill the feedback form, and then we can decide what do you want on the next session. According to the feedback form, we will have building some projects on tomorrow's session.
No worries. Like you can just fill the feedback form, what you have to say, and we'll proceed from tomorrow on the session. Thank you all.